from the mud. There's dirt on my hands.
I've been making maps for 50 years. Quite a long scoff.
So yeah, the mission was to explore the Western Cape.
Try to catch me howling at the moon.
The West Coast is its own world. It's quite different from the South Coast. You've got the astonishing series of granitic boulders, granite rocks up the coast. There's quite a lot of empty space too, but we have to try and deal with that with a map.
Yeah, out at sea for me, I feel like I'm so close to heaven.
He's out at sea every day, and his hands and how they've worked on ships and boats, and like those details and those textures were really, they tell such a unique story. As a photographer, to understand visually what these guys go through because of how they sort of wear it.
Yeah, no, I grew up here from I was 2 years old. We came to stay on the farm, so yeah, I've been surfing here for 25, 28 years already. So the West Coast, yeah, I would say it's like that, fishing, surfing and kayaking with your friends.
All of a sudden you realize that you're in the Cederberg. Tar turns to dirt. Going down to the Pakes, linked up with some climbers from Dream Higher, which is a really cool foundation.
Our idea was to create an environment for integration between at-risk youth and the climbing community.
Okay, I got you, girl. Get that feel good, Cam.
So this is my second time in the Cederberg climbing. I like the outdoors more because now I'm actually holding on to solid rock.
I got you, girl. Go!
The paintings are a priceless heritage that really belong to all humankind. The risk of paintings being damaged by unthinking people is too high to direct people to them. Showing them on maps, unless there's a specific kind of protection that they have, I would never do.
It's curiosity, that's the word. Curiosity.
as jy nou vir wuppertal soek, dan ontdek jy 'n oase in 'n woestyn. As jy hier uitkom in Wuppertal, dan wonder jy, wat het die mense besiel om hier 'n bestaan te maak? Maar ek kan vir jy ook sê, jy bevind jy nou in die koninkryk van die Khoisan mense, hulle het in die area gewoon. En as jy stil sit, dan kan jy nog die energie voel van ons voorvaders hier in die vallei. Die stilte van hierdie plek is, dit smaak en jy kan die stilte soms aanvat.
Die heuningvlei is 'n baie gasvryheidsplek. So as jy inkom, sal jy altyd begroet word met 'n glimlag. Meneer Pieter Slingsby het werklik baie gedoen om ons mense van Wuppertal op die kaarte te sit.
There's a quietness, a stillness, a very different atmosphere there, even though it's quite arid country. It's very beautiful, very starkly beautiful. Some years ago when we were revising our map, our hiking map of the Cederberg, and sat down with about 4 or 5 of the older men of the village and said, right, I've got this list of names. Can any of you tell me, are they real or are they made up names, or do you recognize them? I suddenly realized that these older people knew these names because they had walked everywhere in their youth or ridden on a donkey cart. So we asked them if we could put the names on our maps. And interestingly enough, at first we met some resistance because one of them said, no, these are our names. We don't want everybody to have these names. And I said, if we don't put these names on the map, they will get lost. When your generation dies, there was always a sense they had that if their names were on the map for everybody, then they would lose them. Ultimately, when the map was printed, it has over 400 names on it that had never been on a map before.
It's the only thing you see for miles. You know, it's one thing getting food and drink, but when it comes with good chat and good stories and comes from a good place and a warm heart, it's a special experience for sure.
Can I quickly show you what I have behind the counter? So if you need something on your route, you know I got it. That is amazing maps. Let me show you. And I can show them exactly where to go. You can see all the detail. You've got all the places where you can stay.
Mikersfontein, we stayed in the hotel and we sat on that big deep stoep overlooking the railway line and watched the most magnificent thunderstorm I've ever seen.
And with Tiny Poppy has a community of people from all over the Western Cape that are connected to her for various reasons, mostly around travel and adventure and stories of the Karoo. It all makes sense once you try a roasted bread.
Ik is nu al voor 13 jaar in Lijnsburg en voor meer dan 10 jaar sta ik nu al op de N1 in roosterbrood verkoop. Die roosterbrood is voor mij een wonderlijke avontuur. Het is voor mij een wonderlijke bezigheid. Ik heb die rijkdom, ik heb die pracht en pralie. Maar dat wat ik doe, elke dag doe ik met liefde.
you love about that kind of Cape Karoo area?
Oh, it's indescribably beautiful in its harshness. Lots of it is so flat and apparently empty, but if you get down onto the ground, it's so full of life. Different seasons, it changes so much. People who've been brought up in the Karoo always love it forever. And I think you can come to that kind of appreciation from travelling through it.
Ons het 'n dansbaantjie sommer langs die mynpad gemaak. Daar's 'n baantjie waar die stof laat staan.
The real dancing was just completely captivating. Part of me wanted to put the camera down and just sit and watch. Get completely covered in dust in my camera and in my lens. It was all worth it. They were phenomenal and their performances will stay with me for a long time.
Looks exceedingly barren. It looks brown or grey, but those colours also can grow on you, the desert colours. But if you look at the detail, you'll be fascinated by the diversity, the variety of shapes, the small things. If you look at the bigger picture, you see these spectacular mountains. It's got all sorts of scales. It's got a special beauty of its own. Because it has populations of rare and endemic plants, plants that aren't found anywhere else in the world. There's also opportunities to go for long walks in a very much unspoiled landscape. I like that kind of adventure, an adventure that I can control rather than speeding down a hill on a bicycle.
And their maps and the way they portray and document and share their knowledge, and ultimately the people from the areas that they produce the maps for. It's a pretty special resource to have access to.
I'm setting it to 0, and I'll give you a mark, 015. Is that B4?
Okay. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. Super.
Oh, that should be fine. And we'll go and see if we can see any sharks. So we're here at B10. Yeah, we're going through to B11, but I've never done it before.
So this is uncharted territory. No, it's just a pine tree.
It's not a pine tree. Look at those cones. It's Leucadendron nobilum. Now, you know, it might be a pine tree. Delete. The bloody pine tree. This must be Volmengat that we're in. I wouldn't do it if I didn't like it, let's put it that way. It's that looking back, it's been a very satisfying process.